Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parley.
Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parley. I am your host, Mike Jokum. Joining me today is one of the crew chiefs for Wayne Taylor Racing and Chris Bennett. Chris, thanks for joining. How are you this morning?
Thanks for having me. Doing well.
Good, man. So before we talk about current Wayne Taylor Racing and everything that you've got going on there, what got you into motorsports originally growing up and some of your motorsports background prior to joining IndyCar and then Wayne Taylor in the mid 2000s?
Background kind of started when I was about 3 years old. Traveling around with my stepdad and my mom. He was racing in SCCA, and so I was doing all road race events with him. And then when I was about 8 years old, he picked me up a go-kart, and we started go-kart racing, and we traveled very heavily go-kart racing up until the, mid 2000s, and then went big car, dirt car racing for a few years, and ran myself out of money and, parents out of money and had to find, ways to make money. So, got a job as a parts runner at Achiever Racing. And here we are now.
So you touched on something that I did see in your bio, but I was curious more about, as we're all big dirt race fans here too, but it looks like your family either owned or owns a dirt super stock team. Are you still either involved in that? Do you still do any dirt racing, even just for fun or on the side when you can?
Yep. Yeah, we still have a dirt car. I still drive. We try to do 9-10 shows a year. It's pretty hard for us to get too many more than that in, but we still do it on a fairly low budget, as low as we can. There's not any racing that's low budget, as everybody knows. But no, we still have a really good time. It's an awesome way for me to spend good time with my family. My mom, my stepdad, my dad's involved, my wife. Like we try to go, like I said, 9-10 times a year. This year's obviously going to be a bit different, so I'm not sure we'll get to run very much this year, but part of it.
How did your 2019 races go?
We had a very good 2019 season. I think we won 2 or 3 heat races, 1 feature. I think we finished in the top 5 like 7 times, top 10 like 8. I think we had 1 DNF. Like, it was a pretty solid season for us.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing season on 8 or 9 or 10 races or so. So you started back in Wayne Taylor in 2010 as a gearbox mechanic and sub-assembly mechanic. How do you work your way up from there to being a crew chief and a front tire changer on race day?
Actually, a rear tire changer.
Oh,
but,
the web. Tell Wayne Taylor or whoever runs his website that the website has it marked incorrect. So we'll pretend I said rear tire changer there.
Yeah, no worries. It's all the same. I've done fronts, I've done rears. Pretty much the only thing I've never done in a pit stop is fuel the race car. So,
wow.
But no, we started off as a gearbox, gearbox guy, and then kind of just as we started to grow, taking over more roles in like the mileaging of parts and stuff like that. And it just, as that gearbox role kind of inherently is like a self-managed, and you have to be, fairly aware of what's going on and just kind of work from there. And, the opportunity presented itself to move to the next role. And honestly, I was very hesitant and very worried about doing it. I didn't think I was quite ready. But it seems to have worked out, and we've had, I think, fairly good success. I don't even know, it's not all based around me. It's a whole team effort. So had a lot of guys that have gone through the growing pains with me. So that's been a big help, is them putting up with me through all the years of doing this.
Yeah, I understand that. So, as a crew chief in the shop, what are your main duties on a day-to-day basis when the racing season is underway?
A lot of it is, tracking parts, mileaging parts, working with the engineer on build schedules, and then working with the guys, dealing with the vendors. We have parts guy that deals with that, but a lot of like the Delara stuff I'll deal with. We have a very good relationship with Delara and some of our other vendors. So I'll deal with that, just timeline scheduling, getting the people in the right places at the right time, and working with engineering, just kind of a ever changing, there's not one day that's the same. I was kind of, we were all caught up after Daytona before Sebring, and it was kind of in a weird spot, because I was like, I'm not thrashing, what's going on? And then, then this all happens. So now we're really in a weird spot.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique time out there. So I'm going to switch gears quickly, but I'm just curious for your take on the whole iRacing movement that's kind of sweeping the professional auto sport world right now, where some guys are getting pretty fired up, some are having a lot of fun. What is your take on it? Are you an iRacer at all?
I am not an iRacer. I have done it. It is very cool. Obviously, we have with working with Simcraft over the years, they've had the opportunity to drop off some of their simulators at the shop a couple times, and we've worked with Matt and got to drive those things, and like it's a pretty legit feeling inside of some of those simulators in the iRacing, and like it's an actual workout. You get a real feel of the car. So that part of it, like it's really cool, and it's a very good tool for drivers to stay focused and up on their craft. I think it's also a good way to keep the fans involved. I hope it never replaces real auto racing.
Agreed.
That'd put us all of us out of jobs. But no, I think it's very cool what they're doing. The simulator stuff has come so far. It's pretty unbelievable what people can have in their house versus like what some of the the factory simulators are, and how close they've become, and the feedback and the racing, and just even with all the teams getting their engineering support involved, and running strategy and stuff, which is probably going to ruin it for the smaller guy trying to keep up with the race teams. But it brings a cool aspect to it, to keep the team involved, keep the drivers involved, and keep the fans involved.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely been fun to even just kind of chat with other Pit Lane Parlay listeners and fans during the iRacing events, whatever race it happens to be on, to give that kind of regular race day feel back to things, at least for a couple hours. But yeah, it's been fun to watch. I like to tune in, and it's probably the one time that my wife lets me pick something on TV right now. So I will definitely take it. So prior to Wayne Taylor Racing, you worked at KV Racing with Mario Moraes, Dryan Reinbold, Vision Racing, AJ Foyt the Fourth, all the way down into Indy Lights, it looks like. So on the open wheel side of things, what was that experience like? Was there any driver or owner that you liked working with the most?
It's a much faster paced lifestyle, I would say. I don't really know how to explain. It's a very close knit group of mechanics and guys that work together. Not saying that ours isn't. It's just it's a little different atmosphere in the IndyCar and open wheel side. I enjoy the sports car side of it. I enjoy how the strategy plays out in the long distance. If you're off on a day and it's a long race, you're never out of it. Whereas if you have a bad race or an off pit stop at a IndyCar race, it could put if you're at a short race like a Richmond or something, you have a bad pit, it could put you down 2 laps instantly. So that side of it it's much more fast paced, and it's just a different atmosphere. I didn't dislike doing it. The schedule is a definite different thing for people, and with me trying to race my own, it just kind of got hectic. And I've always had a soft place for sports cars, honestly, since I started. Even when I started at Cheever, that's when they had their sports car, and I was always just drawn to sports car racing. I don't know why. I don't know what brought that about, but yeah, it's just kind of how I was drawn to this more than the IndyCar side. I still enjoy doing it. Though the Indy 500, the people that have never done it, it is an unreal feeling doing that race. Like the atmosphere that place brings and race day and just the whole thing is, for any mechanic that's never done it, it's like for sure a bucket list item.
Yeah, sports cars for me came after IndyCar because of growing up near Nazareth Speedway here in Pennsylvania. But now that I am fully into the sports car world, especially this year as we covered Daytona down there in person, and I've got to talk to you and Bill last week and other guys in the sport. It's really a fascinating world, and the endurance racing side of things is something that is a lot of fun. And I can say I've done an hour race on PlayStation is the extent of my endurance experience, but it's been really cool. I see Cheever had a Grand Am Rolex sports car series team. I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
Who were their drivers?
They kind of had a rotation of drivers, but Christian Fittipaldi was actually one of the steady driver in the car all the time. And then Eddie drove for a while. I'm trying to think who. I mean, we had all kinds of different drivers through the car. Kind of just trying to piece it together with the right driver. But yeah, it was when I first started there. It was we had a Porsche Crawford, and it was sponsored by Crown Royal. It was purple and silver. So.
Oh yeah, I remember that car. Now that you put the sponsor and the colors together, I remember what you're talking about.
Yep.
So I'll wrap it up with two questions here. This one is an easy one. If you had to pick any car as your daily driver, regardless of budget, what car would it be?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I like a lot of different things. I've got some mini trucks that I build. I've got so an import. I've got a big truck. I don't know. Honestly, like a Toyota Supra is like one up there. And just an old like Chevy C10, like with a short bed Chevy C10 would probably be like the ultimate daily driver.
All right, I'll wrap it up with one last question here. What's it like working for Wayne Taylor?
Wayne Taylor, he is a very passionate man. Enjoys what he does. Awesome person to work for. Like you couldn't ask for a better person to work for. That's so passionate about racing, motorsports, family. Yeah, I mean, he's just a great person and very passionate about what he wants to do. And honestly, I think he's more driven to win than sometimes, even on your, most driven day to win and do your best. He seems to be still 10% higher as you of really wanting to win and be better than the other guys. So his passion and his love for the sport is just unbelievable.
I love it. Yeah, that's definitely the consensus I've gotten so far from the Wayne Taylor guys I've talked to. So, Chris, thanks very much for joining this morning. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you out at the track when everything gets up and running again.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks a lot.